this episode, I go over my top 10 favorite horror films of the year, plus my favorite horror TV shows of the year. So I hope you enjoy this episode. And after you're done with this episode, make sure you check out my fellow horsemen of the podcast Apocalypse, Everything Went Black podcast, Into the Necrosphere, the Necromaniacs podcast, Iblis Manifestations, and the Soul Knocks podcast. So check those out. I hope you dig this episode. You might want to have like a notepad available because I go over a good bit of stuff here. And I hope you dig it and have a great new year. All right, on this episode, I'm going to be talking my favorite horror films of 2022 and also some of my favorite sci-fi / horror stuff of in the TV universe. So hopefully you dig that and everything. I just want to say I appreciate everybody listening to my podcast. 2022 was a pretty killer year when it comes to horror and TV and just talking to really cool people. So I really appreciate that. And hopefully 2023 will be just as killer when it comes to, film and having cool podcast guests on and like really killer talks and stuff like that. So hopefully it'll be a good year. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get to my top 10 list of favorite horror movies this year. Some are more sci-fi than horror, but overall everything's in the genre of horror, so it should be a no-brainer there when it comes to, some of these films. But I'm going to start down at number 10 and work my way up to number 1. So I'll give a little bit of information about the film, when it was, everything was released in 2022, so I shouldn't have to give a date on when things were released. That would be pretty dumb, but, my thoughts on these films as I go through them. So with that being said, we're going to start with number 10, which is a Shudder original, and that is Deadstream. Deadstream kind of came out of nowhere for me. I wasn't expecting too much of anything, really, because, a lot of times the artwork kind of sells it for me when it comes to, like, picking something to watch, and the Deadstream art was kind of, like, pretty generic looking. I was like, this might be something I could just throw on in the background and stuff, but I was pleasantly surprised. This was directed by Joseph Winter and Vanessa Winter, and, this was a really, really well-done horror comedy. I'd say it's in the vein of like Evil Dead, those type of films. When the horror happens, like it gets pretty dark, especially towards the end and stuff. The comedy's throughout, but the horror elements are really pretty cool. Special effects wise, really great, really well done. This was a big surprise for me, and if I'm not mistaken, the same directing team, also have one of the shorts in the new VHS movie that's also out on Shudder. So definitely check that out. Deadstream, like I said, came out of nowhere. Didn't know much about it going in, and totally dig it. So Deadstream is my number 10 in my film list here. All right, so we're working our way up to number 9. Which is way more sci-fi than horror, but I still think it still classifies in that genre. So that film's going to be Crimes of the Future. Really dug this one, especially since I'm already a big fan of David Cronenberg. Anything new that he throws out there, I'm going to watch it, But this one was really good. It's definitely Cronenberg, like, doing his thing. It's fucking weird. A lot of body horror, a lot of like new weird futuristic sexual fetishes made. If you watch this, you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to give away too much, but they got this one scene in there with this chair that helps you eat and digest your food. It's totally fucking weird and totally Cronenberg. So really killer. And anything with Viggo Mortensen in it, I'm always down for. Like, he's great, and Cronenberg uses him a lot in his films, and fantastic. This was another kind of sleeper for me. I went in expecting just, a regular Cronenberg film, and what I got was something a bit more, and really liked it, and you should definitely check it out. And that one is streaming now on Hulu, if I'm not mistaken, so you can check that out if you have Hulu. All right, so we're going to my number 8, which is another Shudder exclusive, and I just recently watched this one. I think Mike Hill made a comment about it and stuff, and that kind of got me, searching for it and wanting to check it out before the year was up. But that film is Satan's Slaves: Communion. This is a sequel to Satan's Slaves. That was also a remake of an older film, if I'm not mistaken. But really, really well done. If you're into Indonesian horror, if you like the first Satan's Slaves movie, I think you'd definitely like this one. I kind of like this one a bit more, just because I don't know, it's got a bit more of a scare factor to it. It's got some really creepy scenes, and it's just a creepy feeling throughout. A lot of dread. This one was directed by Joko Anwar. So if you're familiar with his other films, he's done a lot of good stuff. He's done Pedagore, The Formidable, The Forbidden Door, those type of films. So if you dig that kind of stuff, like really dark, weird, sometimes gory, horror, this one's definitely for you. And this is streaming right now on Shudder and also on AMC Plus if you have that one. So definitely want to check that one out. I really dug this one a lot, and I'm happy it made my list, and I'm happy I watched it before the year was up. So yeah, definitely want to check that out. Okay, so we're going to our number 7, and that's going to be the awesome Joe Bego's film, Christmas, Bloody Christmas. And it's kind of weird me having a Christmas horror film in my top 10 list. But usually anything Joe Begos does, I'm down with. I pretty much like everything he's done. Bliss is my favorite film from him. But yeah, Christmas, Bloody Christmas is really, really awesome. And it's going to be like a yearly thing for me now when it comes to holiday watching, horror stuff or whatever. This is going to be rank up there with Krampus and all for me. This is definitely a must watch for the holiday. It kind of combines the best parts of Terminator and Silent Night, Deadly Night. So if you dig Silent Night, Deadly Night meets the Terminator, you're definitely going to dig this one. And Joe Begos, like I said, never disappoints. And I love the way he films things with the purples and the neon colors and everything. That just really draws me in. And this film is no different. So definitely want to check that out. And that's streaming on Shudder right now. So in my number 6 spot is the great Terrifier 2. I was a huge fan of the first film, and Terrifier 2 expanded on that and built so much more on top of it, like the world building and the story of art, and just the whole world of Art the Clown, and the horror that he creates is so much bigger in this film. Everything's bigger and badder, special effects wise, it's gorier. They're done even better than they were in the first movie, because I guess a little bit, more funds were on this one. But, yeah, I just absolutely killed it. And, David Howard Thornton as Art the Clown is just fucking phenomenal. He's a great person too, really killer. Got to talk to him, probably going on 2 years now. We had a talk and stuff, and, nicest dude. Plays one of the most evil characters in all of horror. And I also think that Art is one of our modern day horror icons. He's kind of a modern day Freddy, Michael Myers. I'd put him in that class. He's not quite as iconic as them yet, but give him time. So yeah, I can't wait for the third movie that Damien Leone is going to be making. So that is going to happen. Don't know when. It's probably being made as we speak, but he's probably getting some funds together and all that stuff. But I can't wait for that. I can't wait for Terrifier 3. It's gonna be killer. And they did great. They destroyed it in the movie theaters, and now it's streaming on Screambox, and I think everywhere else you can stream stuff from, like iTunes or whatever. So Definitely give that one a watch for sure. So my number 5 film was another surprise to me, but you know, this director's hit and miss with a lot of people, but for me, he's mostly hit, and he definitely hit it with this one here. So, and that's Jordan Peele's Nope. I went in expecting, weirdness, and what I got was weirdness in the best way. Though it's like it's the thing I like about Jordan Peele's movies. They take a different angle on like the horror genre, and this was no exception. Like, really, really dug the creature that was in this movie. So weird. Like, it just kind of blows your mind because it's not what you expect. He gives you something totally different, and it works. It's almost like watching like an old Outer Limits or something like that. It's strange. I could see some of his stuff fitting in also in the Channel Zero series that came out a while on Sci-Fi, and then Shudder picked up, which is no longer active or whatever. I don't think they're doing any more of those anytime soon, but I can definitely see that in this universe. This is so weird, so well done. Really enjoyed the creature design, like I said, and everything was pretty much top notch. Really weird, nice twist ending. So definitely want to check Nope out. And I think that is streaming on Peacock. So if you have Peacock, that's where it's streaming at right now. So definitely give that one a watch. So now we're getting into the top 4. So big 4. And my number 4 is going to be Pearl. This one was really killer. This is a lot of people's number 1, film for this year. And this one could have went number 1, number 2, number 3, but just where it fell into place right now was 4 for me. But that doesn't mean like it's not as good as my number 1 film. Pearl was really well done. Super well acted. I think Mia Goth absolutely crushed it. Like, she's definitely a horror star and just a great actor in general, And Ty West does no wrong with me. I don't think I've seen anything I haven't liked from Ty West, and this ranks up there with all his other greats. And I like how this is part of I think this thing's gonna be a trilogy if I'm not mistaken. This is like the prequel from X, and I think there's gonna be another film after this, and it's just really awesome, and it's a breath of fresh air, and I'm happy to see it. So definitely want to watch this one. I think it's streaming on all like your paid channels and stuff. So Pearl, fantastic film. Check it out. So my number 3 is going to be another kind of divisive film with people. You either hate it or you love it. I happen to actually love this one. And I think this was also recommended by Mike Hill, if I'm not mistaken. I think him and Mike Scandato talked about this on the Necromaniacs podcast earlier this year. And then I ended up watching it afterwards. But that film is Men, and that's directed by Alex Garland. Men is a total mindfuck of a film. It kind of takes the horror genre on itself and like turns it upside down and spits it back out at you. It's got some really, truly creepy moments in this one that you won't forget. That's for sure, especially towards the ending. There's like one scene in particular that reminds me a lot of The Thing. And it's so odd to say that because how this film goes on is more like kind of mystery, sci-fi-ish drama. It deals with some folk horror as well, And it's just kind of all over the place in a good way. And I really, really dug this one. This almost ranked in my number 2, but when I get to my number 2 spot, you understand why this is number 3. So, but really killer. This one's on Prime Video. You gotta rent it. It's not streaming on none of the premium services yet, but it's definitely worth the rent. Men is fucking awesome, so definitely want to check that out. All right, so my number 2 is yet again another Ty West film, and that's X. X is what the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre should have been, in my opinion. This feels more Texas Chainsaw than the new Texas Chainsaw movie ever did. So that's saying a lot. And it's just fucking great. It's gritty. it's dirty and dangerous feeling. That's like the biggest things for me. It feels like something that was, you're not supposed to be watching, and it feels like what a Texas Chainsaw film should be. But Ty West, made his own kind of rendition of something like that, and so fucking killer. I love X. Like I said, Ty West, he's up there, one of my favorite directors and stuff, and he does not disappoint with X. If you enjoy that old nasty feeling of like the 70s and 80s, like this really like, I don't know, dangerous feeling horror, like I think X will nail it for you. So definitely want to check out X, and that's streaming, on the regular services that you have to pay for, but it's worth the rent. It's worth the buy. It's really killer. So definitely want to check that out. And my number one is another film that, wasn't expecting too much out of when it came out. And I was like, I went in super blind with it, but I'm glad I did, because I think if I didn't go in blind with this film, I would have, probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did. But that is the Zach Cregger film, Barbarian. And if I'm not mistaken, this is like first like big film, or first like real like full length film anyways, because he's like an actor and all that stuff as well. And I think he does comedy if I'm not mistaken. But Barbarian is brutal, full of some crazy ass surprises. It starts off one way, like the first act is totally like just a regular average like drama type thriller thing. Then towards the second act, it just goes into a downward spiral into fucking hell in the best way possible. It's so good, so brutal. I'm not going to say anything more about that, because you want to go in as blind as you can with this film. You don't want to, know any of the twists and turns in it and stuff. And so good. This was definitely my number one after I was done watching. I was like, holy shit, This is another film too that feels, feels dangerous. It feels like something forbidden almost, And it's a really cool concept, a great idea, something you don't really see all the time, because most of the time now horror is filled with like fucking zombies and serial killers and all that stuff. This is something totally different and something like totally refreshing, I think. So I definitely think you'd dig Barbarian, and that one is on HBO Max. So if you have HBO Max, you can check it out on there. But this is my number one for a reason. It's killer. And, fucking fantastic film. You should definitely check it out. Alright, so I also have an honorable mention here that didn't quite make the list, but I think it could have made the list, between this and like Deadstream. I ended up picking Deadstream, but it doesn't mean this isn't, this wouldn't be in my top 10. But that is the film Hellbender, which is a Shudder exclusive, from the fantastically creative Addams Family. They are fucking great. They write, they direct, they do all the special effects, they do everything. They film, and they're some of the nicest fucking people. They're fantastic, and I actually have a podcast coming out with them, hopefully in January. I'll be releasing that one, so you definitely want to check that out, because they're working on something new right now that sounds really badass, and, I can't wait to see what it is. I just love their metal attitude towards film, the DIY, and just like fucking get it done and, do it my way. It's great. So Hellbender is streaming now on Shudder, and I think it's on AMC Plus and stuff as well, but you definitely don't want to miss that one. So the next list I have here is my favorite TV shows of this year, and there's no particular order. I'm just gonna go down this list here. That way, you have a chance to check them out, especially if you haven't heard them before. Which hopefully some of these would be like hidden gems for you. So we're going down the TV show list, and we're gonna start with 1899, which is streaming on Netflix. This was recommended to me by my good friend Ralph Schmidt. He also does Everything Went Black podcast, and he's also in a fantastic band called Ultha. But 1899 is the perfect blend of like Lovecraftian sci-fi horror. It's more heavily influenced with the sci-fi stuff. There is some horror elements in there, but It's more like this, like weird, strange, like Lovecraftian-ish, and it deals with like different dimensions and time and all that stuff. Really, really well done. I think you would definitely dig this one if you dig that kind of stuff, especially like the sci-fi, time travel, extra dimension stuff. You definitely dig this. So definitely check that out on Netflix. That is $18.99. The second show I want you to check out, which is kind of another like hidden gem, I guess you would say, because some of these shows get thrown out there, especially when it comes to Amazon. Like they throw stuff out there and won't even give any promotion on it and stuff. But this one is called The Peripheral, and it's also based off a book. And the book is like a award-winning book and everything. And I haven't read the book, but the show is really killer. It deals with fucking different dimensions, virtual reality. This like a post-apocalyptic type shit. If you dig that, really well acted. It's just really cool. It's got a slight Matrix feel to it when it comes to like fight scenes and stuff like that. So if you dig that kind of stuff, like futuristic, post-apocalyptic stuff, I think you would definitely dig The Peripheral. So check that out, and that's streaming on Amazon. It's an Amazon original. Really cool stuff. The next TV show is Let the Right One In. And I went into this one like with my hopes kind of low, because the movie was so, the original movie was so damn good. The US remake was pretty good too. Not as good as the original, but still pretty good. So when I found out they was doing a TV show based off of Let the Right One In, I didn't know what to expect. It's kind of kept my expectations low, but pleasantly surprised with this one. Really killer. They take the story and do like a 180 with it, kind of, and they make it their own. And I really enjoyed this one. The acting's good. I like the lore of the vampire lore in this one. It's different than anything else that I've ever seen. So check this out, streaming on Showtime right now. And the first season's already over with, so you can, go ahead and watch all 10 episodes and get caught up for when the second season starts, which is probably in the next year or so. Hopefully sooner, but I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled like a lot of the shows I like, but we'll see about that. The next one is another vampire show, and another surprise. This was on AMC. This is Interview with the Vampire. I am a fan of Anne Rice. I'm not a super fan or anything like that, but I do like, the Vampire Lestat and Interview with the Vampire and the film and all that stuff. And this was really, really good. This might be almost a 10 out of 10 for me. I like the choices they made in this, and they made a few changes that I think were for the better when it comes to characters and stuff like that. And the actor that portrays Lestat is fucking awesome, and it really shows off his power. Like he's powerful as fuck, especially in the books, And I think that's something they missed in Interview with the Vampire with Tom Cruise and them. Lestat was more kind of, not near as powerful and godlike as he is in the TV show, and it's really killer, and it takes place in Louisiana as it should, and I don't know, it's well acted, well written, really killer, and you should definitely check that out, and that's on AMC, so definitely give that a watch. Let's see here. Okay, I got one that might be a bit of a hidden gem, possibly. That is the Apple TV series, Shining Girls. I think I heard about this one from Rebecca McKendry on the Colors of the Dark podcast, if I'm not mistaken. And I usually take whatever they say, like whatever she recommends. I definitely want to check it out because great taste in horror and everything. So Shining Girls is really good. It's like a time traveling serial killer type TV show with a bunch of strange twists. Also dealing with like different dimensions too, if I'm not mistaken, but it's mostly like time travel, and it definitely goes to the darker side when it comes to like the horror elements in this. Is more like a dark serial killer type show with time travel involved in it, but really well done. Don't know if there's gonna be a second season of this one. This was this is one of those Apple shows that just kind of pop up, and like they seem to do really quality work over there with the Apple TV shows, and this one was great. Hopefully there'll be a second season of it, because really cool show, and that's Shining Girls. Definitely check that out as well. Let's see here. The next TV show is called From, and that is a Starz original, if I'm not mistaken. From is really cool. It deals with some like Stephen King type weirdness. Like it takes you to like you don't know if you're in this time frame or in a different time frame or what, but everybody's trapped on this and they're trapped in this town with these like vampire type creatures that aren't really explained in the first season, but they're fucking brutal. Like the kills are really brutal, and you can't go out at nighttime because that's when they roam around and stuff. And there's certain like things you have to put up to kind of ward them off. And if you don't have those up, they can come in your house and, fucking kill you and stuff like that. And it's really weird, really creepy. I totally dig it. It's definitely up my alley when it comes to like horror TV and all that stuff that I like. And definitely check that out. And that's on Starz. And I think the second season should be coming out next year, because this one's been finished since like the first of the year, if I'm not mistaken. So definitely check that out. The next one is probably my favorite TV series of the year, and that's another Apple TV series, and it's Severance. Severance is so cool. It nails the weird like sci-fi / like horror element. Fucking it just nails it. It's super weird. You don't know quite what's going on there. Like, I don't know. It's like the deal with it is with Severance. It's like you can divide yourself from your work self and your home self by a technique called Severance. So it's like you're always at work in your head, or you're always at home in your head. But it kind of divides it up, and it's a total mind fuck. And there's a greater evil involved in this too. And as the season goes on, like you learn a little bit more about this greater evil that controls all this stuff. And it's almost going to like an occult type feel to it, which I like. And it was done by Ben Stiller of all people. Like, who knew Ben Stiller could do like really awesome horror or sci-fi? So this one's great. Probably my favorite TV show this year. There's also a small novella that's on that you can get through Apple if you subscribe to their books and stuff like that. I think it's free, and it coincides with the TV show, so it's cool. It's so good and so weird, and it's got Christopher Walken in it. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. So check out Severance on Apple TV. Let's see here. My last recommendation, and unfortunately it was canceled after the first season, which sucks. It's the Netflix show Archive 81, which is based off a really badass horror sci-fi podcast. And they canceled this TV series after the first season, which, like I said, really sucks. This is great. It's more Lovecraftian horror, more interdimensional, occult worship type stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's everything I like, thrown into a show. It's weird. It's got some really creepy elements to it, and it deals with like I said, Lovecraftian fucking creatures and stuff from another dimension. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. But yep, unfortunately they canceled after the first season, which I don't understand, but that seems to happen a lot when it comes to things I like. They usually cancel them, so maybe somebody else would pick this up on another network, possibly. This would be great for Shudder. But if you want more of Archive 81, definitely check out the Archive 81 podcast. I think that might be done as well, but they did like 3 or 4 seasons, and it gets totally fucking bizarre and out there. But definitely worth a listen, and definitely worth a watch. Like, it kind of leaves you at a cliffhanger at the end of Archive 81, but I guess they expected a second season. It didn't happen. it is what it is, but it totally sucks, you know, so yeah. But that's my list, my top 10 favorite horror films this year, and also, you know, some really killer horror TV shows to check out. It's been a really awesome year for horror. A lot of good things. It was not easy making this list, but you know, I waited till the last minute, and there's still some things I didn't get to watch that came out this year that, you know, aren't going to make the list because I didn't watch them. So hopefully I can talk a bit more about those next year and check them out and stuff like that. So thanks so much for listening, and yeah, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate all the support, you know, and hopefully 2023 will be a great year. And yeah, I can't wait to bring you some more killer episodes. And yeah, thanks so much, and thanks for listening.